mynews.studio.
Solar panels are now outshining smokestacks across Europe. The question is, has the continent really left the fossil fuel era behind?
Today is January 24th, 2026. For the first time, wind and solar together generated more electricity than fossil fuels in the EU. That's 30% for wind and solar, and 29% from fossil fuels.
It's not just a symbolic moment. Fossil fuels powered Europe for decades, but renewables are now overtaking them in a fundamental way. What's really interesting is solar energy. It's been the main driver. In 2025, solar grew by over 20%, marking the fourth year in a row with double-digit growth. Solar now provides 13% of all EU electricity, which is more than coal and hydropower combined. Would you say this is mostly about new technology, or has policy played a bigger role?
It's a combination of both. Policy in the EU really pushed things forward, but the technology side matters too. Solar panel costs have dropped dramatically. That's led to a surge in both rooftop and large-scale solar installations. Every EU country saw solar growing last year. Actually, 5 countries, Hungary, Cyprus, Greece, Spain, and the Netherlands, are now getting over 20% of their electricity from solar alone. Hungary's at 28%. That's more than double the world average.
It's aggressive deployment. These countries made permitting much easier, supported local manufacturing, and offered incentives for rooftop solar. But there's also a sense of urgency. Energy security became a top priority after Russia invaded Ukraine, which drove faster action. Solar generation jumped to 369 terawatt-hours last year, a big leap. Meanwhile, wind power held steady at 17%. All combined, renewables made up 48% of EU electricity in 2025. And if you add nuclear, low-carbon sources hit 71%. So this isn't just a temporary spike. It's a lasting structural change.
And fossil fuels are clearly declining. Their share dropped from 37% in 2020 to 29% in 2025. Coal is at a historic low, just 9.2%. In fact, in 19 EU countries, coal now makes up less than 5% of the energy mix. That's a fast shift. So looking at the whole picture, what's the energy mix like now?
Renewables keep climbing. The EU added 77 gigawatts of new renewable capacity in 2024. Overall, renewables made up 47% of the electricity mix last year. And if you look at all energy use, renewables share reached 25.4%. The trend is clear. More renewables, less fossil.
But why does this really matter? Is it mostly about climate change, or is energy independence becoming the bigger story?
Both reasons are crucial. Europe's renewables push means less dependence on imported fossil fuels. Think about how the war in Ukraine disrupted supplies. By scaling up solar and wind, the EU is less exposed to price swings and outside pressures. And on the climate side, there's a direct effect. EU greenhouse emissions fell 8% last year, mostly thanks to more renewables and less coal.
The economics have changed, too. Solar is now cost competitive even without subsidies. That makes it attractive for investors, and with ongoing policy support and tech improvements, costs keep falling. The EU's become a leader in clean tech R&D. But all of this brings up the next big challenge, the grid.
Exactly. Wind and solar aren't constant. In 2025, hydropower output dropped by 12% and wind by 2% because of weather, while solar increased with more sunshine. The grid, as it's built now, can't handle all that variability easily. Energy storage has become the new bottleneck. Europe installed 10 gigawatts of large-scale batteries last year, but it's still not enough. When there's no sun or wind, the grid is strained.
We've seen price spikes during morning and evening peaks when gas steps in to fill the gap. Batteries could help, but scaling them up will need more investment and better policy. There's also the cross-border issue. Right now, surplus solar in Spain or Greece can't easily get to Central Europe, where demand is high. Why haven't grid upgrades kept pace?
Permitting delays are a big reason, and national grids are still quite separate. The EU needs to speed up interconnections so renewable power can flow smoothly across borders. That's essential for a stable and efficient system. Otherwise, you get local oversupply and shortages elsewhere.
There's another side to this: jobs and industry competitiveness. The solar and wind sectors are labor-intensive and are creating new jobs in manufacturing and installation. In 2025, the EU added 65.1 gigawatts of solar, which took a lot of skilled workers: panel makers, installers, electricians. Wind and even heat pumps are also hiring.
But there's a downside. Regions that depended on coal are losing jobs quickly. Coal's share fell from 25% in 2015 to 9.2% now. Mining communities, especially in Poland and Germany, are feeling it the most. Some places have just transition programs, but retraining isn't always keeping pace with closures.
It's a risk, especially if transition policies don't keep up. But renewables can help keep energy costs steady for industry. The EU spent 32 billion euros on gas imports last year, a 16% increase. Making more power at home could help energy-heavy sectors like chemicals and steel with lower, more predictable prices. That, in turn, could attract investment and boost competitiveness.
And let's talk about battery storage. It's expanding quickly, opening up new jobs in manufacturing, software, and energy management. But the net effect on jobs depends on how fast regions can retrain workers, build new industries, and modernize the grid.
This goes beyond just generating power. The EU also needs to electrify heating, transport, and industry to use all this renewable energy. If not, wind and solar could actually outpace demand. So the next step is modernizing the grid, building more connections, and changing how we use energy across the board.
That's right. Europe's transition is shaping up to be a model. Policy, investment, and innovation working together for large-scale decarbonization. But the real test will be how quickly the grid, storage, and workforce can adapt.
Europe has reached a turning point. Renewables are now in the lead for electricity. The question is, can the grid, the workforce, and industry keep up? That's what we'll be watching next.
Thanks for joining us as we explored Europe's shift to clean power and what's ahead for the grid, jobs, and climate.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it now for free.